We are now in Chapter 6, Employee Rights, Aspect 4 of Desjardins Introduction to Business Ethics. And here we're just going to discuss possible objections to the due process rights, as well as Desjardins' replies to them, to those objections. So, what kind of an objection can we have to that? There are procedures in place due to which employees cannot be fired for any reason whatsoever. The first objection is that due process rights seem to limit freedom of employees. In case an employee would prefer to work without due process rights, but for a higher wage. Desjardins' response is that respect for persons is not something that should be monetized and exchanged for money from the moral standpoint, right? From the moral standpoint, dignity is not to be exchanged for higher wages. The second objection is that there is unfair inequality between an employee who can quit on the spot and an employer who has to go through a plurality of steps to terminate an employee. Desjardins' response is that there's already such a power disparity between employers and employees, many employees competing for the same position, employers having more of a bargaining power, that this particular power disparity does not really put an employer at a disadvantage. The third objection is that an employer owns the firm and should be able to dispose of their property as they wish. Desjardins' response is that property ownership does not entitle one to act immorally, not respect human beings' autonomy on their property. The fourth objection is that going through the due process is inefficient. Costs of meeting with employees, keeping inadequate employees employed longer until they can be fired, etc. It just costs money to the employer. Desjardins' response is twofold. One, making a workplace more efficient does not justify treating human beings immorally, not respecting autonomy and dignity of rational beings in them. Slavery may be efficient, but it is not moral and should not be done. Two, due process is likely to help with efficiency by preventing irrational firing of competent employees. In other words, competent employees who may be dismissed due to moods of employers would be retained. Also, competent employers dismissed for all kinds of accidental reasons, there would also be much less of a chance of it happening. So it turns out that in that sense, due process rights actually increase efficiency of a workplace. And that at any rate, the objection to the decrease in efficiency of a workplace with regard to the due process rights does not seem to be solidly founded.